according to the thing, people are not subscribed. Please subscribe. Greetings and welcome back to the channel. If for the first time you're coming across my channel, please remember to subscribe. Let's talk about health and well-being and talk about choices and how and what you want to put in your body as a person, and see if things you want to do is promoted by the so-called mainstream media. Let me tell you something. I recently watched someone speaking, a brother called Bobby Kennedy, who is related to the ex-president of the US who was assassinated, Rebert F. Kennedy. And if I'm going to play a clip of him laying out how the so-called food industry and these people who want to provide sustenance for you and I, and what they put into their food as preservative and flavoring and other things. I would like to play you this clip so that you can just see that it's not I saying certain things. I am just one of the people who see through the camouflage and see that these people who call themselves big pharma and these people who run supermarkets are not genuinely providing food for the nation or for people. What they're doing is to capitalize on the fact that we do not have the knowledge of how to provide ourselves with nutrients so that the body is able to function, and not a majority of things to keep it going, but actually a very small minority in terms of nutrients and vitamins what the body need on a day-to-day basis. So let me play you this clip. Actually, I'm going to play you two clips. So first watch Rebert Kennedy, and then we're going to play you another clip. So let's watch that and let's come back and have a reason.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tetrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like this to talk about Red 40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That has never been studied. If we took all of these chemicals out, our nation would get healthier immediately. We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other health conditions, as targets to be all about healthcare, have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. I'll name 2 culprits. The first and the worst is ultra-processed food. About 70% of American children's diet is ultra-processed. That means industrial manufactured in a factory. These foods consist primarily of processed sugar, ultra-processed grains, and seed oils. Laboratory scientists who many of them formerly worked for the cigarette industry, which purchased all the big food companies in the 1970s and 80s, deployed thousands of scientists to figure out new chemicals to make the food more addictive. And these ingredients didn't exist 100 years ago. Humans aren't biologically adapted to eat them. Hundreds of these chemicals are now banned in Europe, but ubiquitous in American processed foods. The second culprit is toxic chemicals in our food, in our medicine, in our environment. Pesticides, food additives, pharmaceutical drugs, and toxic waste permeate every cell of our bodies. The assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting. To name just one problem, many of these chemicals increase estrogen. Because young children are ingesting so many of these hormone disruptors, America's puberty rate is now occurring at age 10 to 13, which is 6 years earlier than girls were reaching puberty in 1900. Our country has the earliest puberty rates of any continent on the earth. And no, this isn't because of better nutrition. This is not normal. Breast cancer is also estrogen driven, and it now strikes 1 in 8 women. We are mass poisoning all of our children and our adults. Considering the grievous human cause of this tragic epidemic of chronic disease, it seems almost crass to mention the damage it does to our economy. But I'll say, it is crippling the nation's finances. When my uncle was president, our country spent $0 on chronic disease. Today, government healthcare spending is almost all for chronic disease. And it's double the military budget. And it is the fastest growing budget item in the federal budget. And chronic disease costs more to the economy as a whole, costs at least $4 trillion, 5 times our military budget. And that's a 20% drag on everything we do and everything we aspire to. Poor and minority communities suffer disproportionately. People who worry about DEI or about bigotry of any kind, this dwarfs anything. We are poisoning the poor. We are systematically poisoning minorities across this country. Industry lobbyists have made sure that most of the food stamp lunch program, about 70% of food stamps and about 70 or 77% of school lunches are processed foods. There's no vegetables. There's nothing that you would want to eat. We are just poisoning the poor citizens, and that's why they have the highest chronic disease burden of any demographic in our country, and the highest in the world. The same food industry lobbied to make sure that nearly all agricultural subsidies go to commodity crops that are the feedstock of processed food industry. These policies are destroying small farms, and they're destroying our soils.
So, this is my takeaway from that. And I want you to, if you was not listening, to go back and listen. He said, not me said, he said they are poisoning the food. They're also poisoning the minorities, the poor people, the people who can't afford certain things. Let me tell you how we know that, and I'll give you an example, because every time I said something, I like to give an example. I wish I had the buckle and the cover for the buckle to show you here, but if I don't show you here, I'll probably show you in another video, where I went to the shop to buy a Dragon Stout here in the UK. Now I know that our Dragon Stout, Caribbean, Jamaica, whatever Dragon Stout, on the top of the Dragon Stout and the stopper, it have a dragon spitting fire. And the Dragon Stout that I get from the shop is a plain copper color stopper or cork, what you call it. So someone is making a replica and selling it to us. We don't know what in there. Another thing that I also want to show is we like the thing they call Magnum. One is real and one is not. If I also find the video, I'll put it here at the end so that you would see. This is on a scale. The conspiracy to create dependence or sickness is deep, and this is not a joke. I hope YouTube do not do anything to this video, but make our people check the thing that I'm presenting here and make the decision for themselves, instead of you make their mind up for them so they don't want to see it. Give the people a chance, because the people have their own mind and will make up their own mind whether they want to digest information or not. So please watch this last clip that I will look for, which is the one with the dragon stout, and the one with the magnum. Thank you for watching and have a great day. 1 Guinness and 2 dragon stout. G-Boy, I'm filming, but the camera is on me. I don't want to film you. I'm doing a TikTok, YouTube. TikTok and YouTube. No, not live. I want to edit it because sometimes you swear. Sometimes somebody says something. You don't want to put the swearing on the thing. I beg your bag, free one, please. Huh? Spontaneously. Spontaneous, just free style. Yeah. I'm freelance. Put in a bag for me, please. Yeah, this one is not real. Look, I'll show you. This is not real dragon. There's no dragon on the top. I don't know who making it. Yeah, I might be wrong. Have a good evening. I might be wrong, but I suspect these guys. I suspect these guys because they're selling dragon stout with no dragon on the top. So I wonder, what's that? Boom, fire. Normally I don't stop in the street, but I decided to stop this evening. I'm going to tell you something when I suspect. I have a camera upon me here. I have guineas in there. 1 dragon for you and 1 for you. But watch out, let me show you something. This is a dragon. But when the dragon they were the on the top.
No, them not a real thing out there.
Alright. Dragon have a dragon on the top. I don't know what this is. But hold it.
And they look alike, you know. They do everything alike, you know. You think they're easy?
Me I tell you. So me say, oh me
Compare it to
vomit
what you
so.
want to have the 2 different
From what day, yeah.
Fake. Fake. Original. If you have no number underneath a letter and a real one. See fake one there. And they look alike, you know. They do everything alike, you know. You think they're easy?
Me I tell you. So me say, oh me
Compare it to
vomit
what you
so.
want to have the 2 different
From what day, yeah.
Fake.